Two-time Oscar winner Christoph Waltz giving us his sinister best in Amazon Prime's The Consultant. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for Amazon Prime Video's The Consultant. This came out a little while ago. All episodes are now streaming. It is 8 episodes long, and it's a pretty easy season to binge too, because each one is only about 30, 33, 35 minutes, somewhere in that range. So I ended up binging this whole thing over 2 days, watched the whole season, and it is based on a popular book from a few years ago by Bentley Little, and Christoph Waltz plays the title character, the Consultant. We'll talk about what that means here in just a moment. But first, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. I try to post something new just about every day here on the channel, be it TV or movie-related stuff. And please consider subscribing down below. Would love to have you aboard in that capacity. Or like this video, share it, comment down below. All that stuff does help the channel out. All right, so this is based, like I said, on a popular book by Bentley Little. It's also called The Consultant. But this is not listed as a mini-series, is not listed as a limited series, so we could get more seasons of this. There's been no word yet. Amazon Prime, I feel like of all the streamers, kind of just drags their feet a little bit in deciding when to renew something. Sometimes you'll be a year out and they'll be like, oh yeah, we renewed this for season 2, it turns out. So no word yet on the fate of this series, but I assume that the season basically goes with the book, so anything subsequent would be sort of going off in a different direction. I do think it ends, and I'm not going to do spoilers or anything, but in terms of like, if it doesn't get a season 2, does it end on a cliffhanger and stuff? There's some unanswered questions, but I think for the most part the finale could certainly serve as a series finale, a series capper. And like I said, I imagine that it follows the book, and where sort of the book ends is where this season ends. So anyway, but Christoph Waltz plays Regis Patov, who is a very mysterious consultant coming into this tech company called Compware, that mostly makes video games for cell phones. Mobile gaming is what they do. But the CEO is murdered in like the first scene of the first episode, so that's not really giving away spoilers. But after that is when this guy shows up. No one has heard of him. No one knows sort of where he came from, what's going on, and he essentially starts running the company, more or less. Also in this is Nat Wolff, who you may remember from when he was a kid, the Naked Brothers Band on, I think that was Nickelodeon. But he's done, a bunch of stuff over the years as he's gone into adulthood. And then Brittany O'Grady as well, who was in the first season of The White Lotus. She was part of the Apple TV Plus series Little Voice, so you may have seen her as well. They're sort of the main 2 people we focus on in this show, other than the Christoph Waltz character. But they're members of, this organization, and maybe not really high up, but they have a sort of relationship with each other, just from working together for so long. But they both kind of commiserate about who is this dude, what's going on with him, and where does he fit into this world, this universe that he seems to also know very little about. The company, gaming on the whole, so all of that. So this is listed as a few different things. It's funny, it's listed as a dark comedy, it's listed as a thriller, it's even listed perhaps a little bit as a horror. I sort of think of this as a psychological thriller. There's certainly maybe some dark comedy elements to it, but I would not consider it that. I think this is a psychological drama, psychological thriller, that sort of a thing. And maybe some mystery elements as well. Maybe some science fiction elements, but I would sort of veer away from that moniker on it. If anything, the quote unquote sci-fi stuff here is more akin to like kind of a Twilight Zone sort of like, you know, what would happen if sort of scenario kind of thing. So I don't want to delve really too far into that. Because I think that may give away some plot points talking even about that sort of element of it. So let's start with the Christoph Waltz character slash performance. He is, I think, a great sort of mysterious person, villain character. We've seen him, you know, do that in several movies. But he also has this charisma that makes people sort of fall under his spell, fall into his charm. So he really, I think, was well cast for this. I'm not sure if he's giving us anything we haven't seen before from him. You know, is he really, you know, stretching his acting chops? I don't know, but I do feel that he was very, very sort of perfectly cast for this role, because I think you do need someone with that commanding presence who can sort of come into a room and say, okay, I'm in charge now, and have people actually believe it and sort of do his bidding and that sort of thing. And that's where, when we talk about do his bidding, I think that's where the show falls apart a bit for me, is that a lot of the characters here do things that I just don't think people would be doing, even in some of these circumstances. You know, some of it illegal, some of it dangerous, you know, some of it just not necessarily making a ton of sense without any sort of information to go on. They're just saying like, okay, sure, I'll do this, boss. And so there's a few different kind of rationales for that, that do sort of make sense in context, but some of it is a little bit far-fetched for me. But that does actually bring me to another possible genre for this, which is sort of corporate or workplace satire kind of thing, and not necessarily workplace like The Office, but in terms of like corporate structures and you know, things that people will do to keep their jobs, to save their jobs, to advance in a company. So I think there's definitely some things there that maybe you could say is a bit darkly comedic. I think of it more as sort of a send up of that whole culture, especially in kind of the current state. You know, in fact, in the beginning of his sort of reign as the consultant, he says, you know, working from home is over. You must come to the office. You know, you have to be here within an hour or you're fired. So even taking aim a little bit at like the Zoom kind of thing of late. So very, I think, interesting stuff. There's a lot of interesting threads here. But, you know, that leads me to another potential issue, which is not all of the threads sort of get resolved or even necessarily matter in the end. And that can be a little bit like, I don't know, I think about Lost as sort of the template. I always go back to Lost because it was such a groundbreaking show, but that was sort of the template of like, oh, you really need to pay attention to a lot of things. And this is a show that you do, I think, want to pay attention to. There's a lot going on. There's certain things, maybe visually, that you get that you know, if you're, you know, not paying attention as much, you may miss certain elements that could help sort of put a few pieces together. Overall, I think this is a very intriguing show. I would be open to a second season, even though I do think it ended on a fine note. Certainly not everything was resolved in that way. But I think if it were to be a limited series, I think the ending is satisfying enough. But with that said, I think there's a lot of places to go in a potential season 2 as well, especially if it's not being directly adapted from the book, and then we have, you know, some new avenues to attend to. Christoph Waltz, you know, look, I think he's a very talented dude. I actually had to look up whether he was a multiple Oscar winner, because I knew he won for Django Unchained, but I wasn't sure if maybe he won for Inglourious Basterds as well. I knew he was nominated. Sure enough, both Tarantino movies a few years apart, and he got Best Supporting Actor for both of those. So look, the guy's got talent to spare. I wish he was giving us something a little more new here, but this was a very, very enjoyable show, even if all the pieces didn't quite connect or matter by the end. So I leave The Consultant with a B, and you can stream all of those episodes now, like I said, on Amazon Prime Video. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.